Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at a Robot Damashii. Now, I've taken a look at maybe 2 of these in the past, I believe, and it's been quite a while. So as you guys know, I usually don't really like figure stuff just because I prefer model kits. I prefer to be able to build it myself. So I find these not as fun, and they're also kind of expensive. But the Robot Damashii Ver.A.N.I.M.E line has been going on for quite a while, and I've been wanting to take a look at them because they do look really, really nice. So if you guys are into collecting figures, if you are into the Robot Damashii line, the Ver.A.N.I.M.E figures, the line has gone on to expand to a lot more mobile suits than I really ever expected it to, but it seems like it's doing very well. So I figure it's probably time that I take a look at another one just so I can check it out and see what it's like. I can share that with you guys because maybe some of you are also maybe interested in them, but maybe you just didn't really know kind of too much what to expect. So we're going to be taking a look here at the Zaku II F2 today. As you guys know, the F2 is my favorite version of the Zaku, so I really love this design. So I thought it was a fitting one, and also because of the whole channel name and everything, it's fitting that we take a look at a Zaku. So we're going to be diving into this one here today. I will let you guys know what my thoughts are on this, and hopefully that'll help you guys decide if maybe this is something that you want to try out for yourself as well, or maybe you already are collecting some of these figures and you just don't have this one. Maybe you're looking for some more information on that, but let's go ahead and get into it for today's review. Just starting off here, taking a look around the outside of the box, we got a little window right there showing you what the figure is going to look like. More importantly, on the front here, we've got a big photograph, which looks like a CG image of a photograph of the figure, and it's just kind of been like touched up with some weathering and obviously just some lighting effects and everything else going on there on the front. Got all your different logos and seals, everything. This is number 277 in the line. Got the GPO1 head on there, indicating this is from the Stardust Memory series right there. On the side of the box, you got a look at what the Zaku II F2 is going to look like. There on the other side, looks to be like everything that you have inside the box. So a bunch of different hand options, a couple of like blast effects, the different heat hawks, the Zaku machine gun, a Zaku bazooka, a couple of different attachment pieces and little bits. So we'll take a look at all that stuff obviously once we get the box open. Here's a few samples of some action shots with the different weapons, with the blast effects out the backpack there, also with this effect part for the Zaku machine gun. Don't believe that is included though with this set, so I think that would be from a different set. Around on the top of the box, you just got the same logos and everything there. In the background there, it's kind of hard to see, but you have stills from the anime from Stardust Memory there as those kind of background images there. In background on the back side of the box, once again, some action shots there with some different weapons, some details about the articulation, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and get it popped open. Alright, so here we've got everything. I'm gonna try to see if I can open this up without everything popping out everywhere. Yeah, so this makes it really easy for us to kind of go over the accessories. As you can see there for the head, you have an option part there to give it a commander antenna if you want to swap that part. There's that Zaku machine gun with an extra ammo pack there for that. You got some different connector pieces right there for being able to attach the bazooka onto the backpack. Your hand holder right here, as some of those hands are now falling out, but let's go ahead and take a look at those. So yeah, this is basically what you can plug all your hands on to make sure that you could keep all of them and they're not just loosely floating around and you don't lose them or anything. It looks like we've got a set of holding hands with the trigger finger extended. Got a set of these kind of open rifle support hands like this. Different set of open hands, which also could be used for like rifle support hands or just kind of open expressive hands. And then a set of holding hands here for the heat hawk. And then we also of course have the closed fists, which are right there on the figure. Are 2 different versions of the Heat Hawk one, an active and inactive version of the Heat Hawk. The inactive one has a little peg on it to be able to plug this onto the mobile suit, whereas the active one does not, because this is the one that's obviously just meant to be held in the hand. It's got some metallic gold pre-painted on there, which does look really nice for that. We got our clear blue blast effects with this little connector piece, which is set in there at an angle. You can't change that. Those are meant to plug into the backpack around here, into the thruster bells like so. You can also plug them into here underneath the feet, but we only have 2 included with this set, so you'd have to put them both under the feet or both into the backpack, or you'd have to use some from a different set. It looks like you could also plug them into these little thruster bells there at the top of the backpack if you wanted to also, or if you just had more of these thrust effect parts, then you could use them in there. Anyway, last but not least, here is the Zaku bazooka, and it's definitely a more hefty one than what you would have like with the standard Zaku II, so I really like the look of this. You can see there is a hole there in there for being able to plug an effect part into the front of the bazooka as well. Not included with this, the camera is in just a metallic silver. The main handle does bend to the front and back like that a little bit. The secondary handle is just fixed in place there. Otherwise, pretty cool looking bazooka here on this, nicely detailed. It does have a seam line on it, and you can see this is another thing that I don't really like about figures, is that they'll often have this kind of stress mark there from being cut off of the runner, or how it's molded anyway. You can also see some of that here on the Zaku machine gun. So just to look at the articulation of this, the secondary handle here on the front does bend out to the side like that. The camera once again is in silver. That does also rotate around like so. And otherwise, just a really cool design here for this version of the Zaku machine gun. Another reason why I like the F2, because I definitely prefer this version of this gun compared to the original Zaku II's machine gun. Okay, all that said, we do have some included instructions here. Not that it's particularly necessary. You might find this helpful just for how and where you can use certain aspects of the accessories. Like for example, those thrust effects, I was saying you could use them on either the top or the bottom of the backpack, or the bottom of the feet, for example, plugging all the hands together onto that hand holding system there. There's a bit about the articulation as well, which you might find useful. You don't want to be bending something the wrong way and actually break anything, so it's good to pay attention to some of the details of the articulation that are highlighted here in the instructions. And over here you can see how you can attach that bazooka effect part into there if you have that from a different set, how you can use the connector pieces to plug that bazooka either onto the backpack, onto the back skirt. And it looks like you can't plug that onto the side of the shield, unfortunately, but the shield does have a little hole there for, again, plugging on a like blast or an explosion effect there on the shield. If you have one of those from a different set, you can plug this onto just your standard 3mm action base or Damashii stage base there. You can swap the head parts as we talked about. You can also turn the mono eye left and right, so we'll try out all of that. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the figure itself. I will say the colors and the finish on it is really nice. I like that it has this kind of satiny finish on it. The colors seem to be just right for the Zaku II F2. The F2 design has a little bit more desaturated kind of colors to it, which I really like, and the gray is a little bit more of like that purplish gray. So very nice colors here on this, and the finish looks pretty good. Some of those stress marks, like what we saw on the weapons, don't really seem to be anywhere too visible around here on the figure itself, which is nice. So just looking around that, you can see everything looks pretty good. There's that hole in the shield for plugging an explosion effect part onto there if you wanted to. The shield can swing around, that's just on a ball joint there. Let's test out the head, turning the mono eye. It's going to be a little bit tight at first, and that is in like a metallic pink, but that moves pretty easily. Removing the top of the head also pretty easy, so it's good that you don't have to worry about stressing that out too much. The head, if you extend and pull up the neck, you can actually get the head all the way up to here, which is really nice. You just have to be careful to pull that, tight enough to get it all the way out for kind of a flying pose like that, but just make sure not to, do anything too much. Let's try our shoulder joint here. That'll swing to the front, and it actually separates, kind of like the HD The Origin kits. The whole side of the torso moves along with the shoulder movement there, front and back. This shoulder armor over here on this side, and I will say the points on this are pretty sharp on the spiked shoulder pauldron there, but you can kind of move that a little bit, not really all that much, unfortunately, so that is going to limit our upward movement of the arm, but you still are able to bring that up to almost 90 degrees to the mobile suit there, which is not too bad at all. It's kind of a common thing with the Zaku. This shoulder armor design does make it kind of difficult for the Zaku to raise its arm up very high, but otherwise we got some rotation there at the top of the bicep. The forearm actually bends a little bit side to side like this, as well as your standard elbow bend, which does have a nice separation of this elbow armor right there, which is very cool. Pretty good full bend there, but that's kind of cool how aside from the standard bend, it does also bend in and out like that. It's kind of interesting. The wrist is just on a little ball joint there, but mostly you're just going to be getting some rotation. There is a little bit of forward and back bend there at the wrist there as well that you can do. For an ab crunch for this, it might sound kind of weird to talk about an ab crunch on a Zaku kit because it's normally another point that's kind of difficult for the articulation, but they've done a really interesting thing here for this. Aside from, while we're here, we'll talk about the movement of these thruster bells. You can move those around little ball joints, but the backpack itself kind of comes off from the body. You can kind of bend the backpack down, and then you can also pull the torso forward. You have to do them kind of at the same time there to be able to get a further ab crunch to the front, which it looks kind of weird. It doesn't really look that natural, but for different poses you might find that useful. And it's cool how the backpack kind of then stays in the position where it is. You're basically kind of moving the torso to the front. Pretty cool. And right here you can see the panel on the side of the backpack, and then there's one on both sides of the backpack that you can remove, and that's where you're going to have the hard point for being able to plug the connector piece for the bazooka. Moving down to our skirting armor here, that does move quite nicely. The front skirt's there, those couple of panels, the side skirt can move a little bit, but again, just because of the way that the cable runs from the backpack to the front, kind of runs through the side skirt there, so that is going to limit your side skirt articulation. The back skirt doesn't move, but you do have this flap which will fold up, and again, that's a hard point for the attachment piece for the bazooka right there on the back skirt. For the hip joint, you can see maybe up inside there that the whole hip will be able to swing down into the front. That's to be able to bring the leg further up and to the front like so. Again, really nice look for that there. Maybe you can see that a little bit better. You can see the attachment point for plugging this onto a base is more towards the back rather than directly between the legs there. The knee bend is going to be a double joint with, again, nice separation of that knee armor and a nice full bend there at the knee. This tube is like a softer kind of rubber, so that's not going to be an issue. Down here for the ankles, you will have a little bit of side-to-side movement there, but not too much, just again because of the design of the lower legs of the Zaku. This front part here does move independently, so as you are moving the foot side to side at the ankle, you can kind of adjust this part as needed like that at the front. The toe does point down a little bit like that, which is nice, and then you can also bring the ankle to the front like that. Kind of the whole ankle kind of extends down and out like so, otherwise down, and then point the toe down like that for a cool flying pose up underneath the feet. As we just saw a moment ago, you have nice full detail there. It's a little bit kind of bald at like the front part under the toe, but otherwise some nice details all around. On the back of the leg here, you have this panel line detail, and there is a little bit of a seam line at the bottom down there where those two halves come together. It's not really all that noticeable, but just a little bit of a seam there. This red pre-painting, oh, it's another point where you could plug the effect parts right into there onto those little thruster details on the side of the leg. The red details painted in there does look pretty nice. There's a couple of really small spots of like a little flash on the plastic, like there you can see on the inside of that shoulder part right there. Otherwise, I would say the overall quality is really, really nice compared to the couple that I've taken a look at in the past. One was the Full Armor Gundam, one was the Goof Custom of the earlier Robot Damashii series, I think it was, something like that. Quality of this does feel really, really nice, so it looks great. Let's go ahead and try out a few different poses here with this, and I've got to say, really impressed with this. I don't think that it's going to change my mind and make me start wanting to collect Robot Damashiis by any means, but I will say if this is something that you guys are interested in, I would definitely recommend checking it out. Now, the Zaku II F2 in particular is one that I would very highly recommend the HGUC kit as well, just because it's a really, really great kit if you guys would prefer to build it yourself. But in general, if we're just talking about the Ver.A.N.I.M.E series of Robot Damashii figures, I would say, looking at this as a representative of that line, I would say I could highly recommend them for you guys. Definitely really nice if you wanted a really good looking, 1/44 scale kind of size. I know that these are technically non-scale, I believe, but it's basically the same as the 1/44 scale HG kit. And if you want some really nice 1/44 scale figures here, maybe to go with your HG kits, or you just don't really have the time or the means to be able to, make your HG kits, build them and then, make them look a little bit nicer. Like I said, this one has a nice finish in it already. You could go in and paint in a couple other little details maybe here and there on it, but otherwise it's pretty much just all color accurate as it is almost. You could also do maybe a little bit of panel lining on it, might also help to just bring out a couple of the details here and there. Weathering, of course, if you wanted to do that. I know that you can do all that on these figures if you want to make them look even better, but straight out of the box, they look really good. So if you want them just to have them to be able to put up on your shelf, or you want to do like some toy photography with them or something like that, then I could highly recommend them for you guys. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about this particular Robot Damashii or the Ver.A.N.I.M.E line in general? Is it something that you guys are interested in? Is it something that you're collecting, or maybe do you only collect certain ones, or do you have ones that you would recommend, or any ones that you wouldn't particularly not recommend? Let us know in the comment section below just what you guys' thoughts are. As like I said, this is the kind of thing that I don't review very often, so I'm interested to know kind of what you guys think about the Robot Damashii, in particular the Ver.A.N.I.M.E line, and or about this Zaku II F2 in particular. And of course, if you guys want to check out some for yourself, you can do that at USA Gundam Store. I'll have the link for you guys down in the video description. Aside from all the figures, of course, there's all sorts of model kits and paints and tools and supplies and all that other good stuff as well, so check that out. I'm really happy with this, very cool. Hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at something a little bit different here for today's review. If you did, leave a like, make sure you're subscribed. As always guys, I really appreciate all of your support. Till next time, have a great day. See y'all later. Bye bye.